Imagine two people buying the exact same truck. One uses it every day for work, the other uses it mostly for commuting, errands, and showing up. The vehicle is identical. The monthly payment is identical, but financially, these are completely different purchases. One person bought transportation, the other bought an identity. And identity purchases are often the most expensive mistakes people ever make. This audit is for anyone whose expenses rose alongside income until appearances became more expensive than freedom. Today, we isolate the invisible maintenance costs of status symbols and dismantle the pressure to look rich before it drains your accounts. We will audit the psychological architecture of the high-income poverty trap, expose the hidden self-image tax, and implement 5 rules designed to neutralize emotional spending. Most people miss the counterintuitive truth that the more money you spend trying to look successful, the less financial control you actually possess. Fixing this system is the only way to truly own your future. Most purchases solve practical problems. Food solves hunger, a bed solves sleep, a laptop solves work. But some purchases are designed to solve emotional problems instead. They target validation, status, belonging, recognition, and proof. The item becomes symbolic. You are not buying the watch. You are buying what the watch says. You are not buying the luxury vehicle. You are buying the story it tells to other people. That distinction changes everything. Humans are social creatures, and status has always mattered. The danger begins when status signals get confused with actual financial progress. One increases appearance, the other increases control. They are never the same thing. Imagine someone earning a steady income and buying a premium product because peers approve of it. The purchase feels rational because everyone around them validates the decision. But social validation and financial strength are rarely measuring the same outcome. When you buy something for utility, value is extracted through usage. When you buy something for identity, value is extracted through perception. If perception changes or your social environment shifts, the perceived value can disappear overnight, yet the financial obligation remains fully intact. The bank still expects payment. That is the baseline money trap. People often finance a temporary social signal while locking themselves into a long-term financial obligation that survives long after the excitement disappears. Every purchase answers a question. Some purchases answer, "Will this help me?" Others answer, "What will people think of me?" That second question is where emotional spending enters the budget. Consider luxury phones, designer clothing, premium vehicles, and expensive vacations. The goal is not to shame these choices. The goal is to audit the motivation behind them. The real question is simple. Would you still want this if nobody else could see it? That single question exposes many ego purchases immediately. Utility survives privacy. Status does not. Imagine buying a designer jacket. If you were stranded alone on an island, would you still pay extra for the brand label? Of course not. The jacket's utility is warmth and protection. The label requires an audience. When money is spent on labels rather than function, future wealth is being exchanged for a temporary social signal that produces no practical return. This behavior is heavily driven by lifestyle creep. As income rises, spending questions change. People stop asking whether they can afford an item. They start asking whether the item matches their social standing. The shift is subtle, dangerous, and expensive. Purchases become identity maintenance instead of practical decisions. Wealth building slows while status maintenance accelerates. Without noticing, people begin spending money to support an image rather than to improve their actual financial position. Humans crave belonging, recognition, and identity. Ego purchases temporarily deliver all three. The emotional reward arrives immediately at the register. You feel successful. You feel respected. You feel rewarded. But the financial cost arrives later. The brain receives validation now, while the budget receives the bill next month. This timing gap makes emotional spending powerful because present approval feels real, while future consequences feel distant and abstract. Assume a luxury item costs $150 per month on credit. The emotional excitement lasts roughly 2 weeks. By the third week, the item feels normal, yet the payment continues for years. The consumer traded a multi-year financial obligation for a brief emotional spike. This is an asymmetric trade. Long-term freedom is sacrificed for short-term validation. Modern consumerism thrives because validation can now be purchased instantly with a simple tap on a screen. The biggest danger is not the first ego purchase. The danger is what happens afterward. New cars become normal. Luxury apartments become normal. Expensive phones become normal. Designer wardrobes become normal. Humans adapt quickly. What once felt exciting becomes baseline reality. Then another upgrade appears. Eventually, spending is no longer producing happiness. It is merely maintaining identity. The person is not chasing joy anymore. They are spending money to avoid feeling like they are falling behind. When self-worth becomes tied to spending habits, a financial floor is created that cannot easily be lowered. Income may double, yet obligations scale at the same rate. Car loans grow larger. Housing costs rise, subscriptions expand, the buffer never increases, financial fragility remains unchanged, downsizing feels impossible because it appears to signal failure. The individual becomes trapped by their own baseline and must continue working simply to maintain visible evidence of success. Every identity carries a maintenance cost. Call it the self-image tax. A luxury vehicle does not only require a larger loan payment, it demands premium insurance, expensive fuel, specialized repairs, premium parking, and higher expectations across other spending categories. The original purchase quietly creates dozens of additional obligations. One ego decision multiplies into many recurring costs. Most people see the visible price tag but never calculate the invisible maintenance burden attached to the identity. Consider someone moving into a luxury neighborhood to project success. The mortgage is only the visible expense. Soon they notice expensive landscaping, premium vehicles, private schools, upscale restaurants, and luxury shopping habits. Environmental pressure begins influencing behavior. Spending patterns slowly shift upward to match the surrounding identity. The neighborhood acts like a hidden financial tax. Income rises, effort increases, but savings remain flat because every raise is absorbed by status expectations. Compare two profiles. Person A appears successful. Luxury vehicles, designer labels, and high-end living create an impressive image. Yet behind the scenes, savings are minimal and fixed costs are enormous. Every dollar already belongs to creditors. Person B appears ordinary. They drive a paid-off vehicle, wear simple clothing, and live below their means. Yet they possess flexibility, investments, emergency reserves, and low obligations. Externally weaker. Internally stronger. Ask the important questions. Who sleeps better? Who survives layoffs more easily? Who handles emergencies without panic? Who controls their future? Financial strength is invisible. Status is visible. The trap exists because people optimize for what others can see, while sacrificing what actually matters. One person traded freedom for the illusion of success. The other traded visible status for genuine control. Wealth is often defined more by money not spent than money displayed. Most ego purchases are not really about impressing strangers. They are about protecting self-worth. People want proof that they are progressing. They want physical evidence that they are winning. The purchase becomes a shortcut. Instead of slowly building security, they try to feel successful immediately through ownership. The danger is that status can be financed. Peace of mind cannot. Financial security requires patience, while consumer validation can be rented instantly. When possessions become a proxy for self-worth, happiness becomes dependent on depreciating assets. People become trapped in upgrade cycles, product launches, and approval from audiences that rarely pay attention. The balance sheet often reveals the truth clearly. Growing debt paired with fragile emotional dependence. To fix the system, the rules themselves must change. Emotional spending cannot be solved with motivation alone. It requires structural safeguards and deliberate behavioral design. Rule 1 is the privacy filter. Delay non-essential purchases and ask whether you would still want the item if nobody could see it. Rule 2 is the utility baseline audit. Focus on the core function of an item and refuse to pay extra for unnecessary status layers. Today, block shopping websites temporarily, downgrade one premium subscription, and separate actual usefulness from image-driven consumption. Utility should determine spending, not visibility. Rule 3 is the maintenance multiplier calculation. Estimate the true 5-year cost of luxury assets, including insurance, repairs, upgrades, and supporting expenses. Rule 4 is the outflow automation wall. Stop relying on willpower. Automatically move savings before spending decisions occur. Today, calculate hidden ownership costs and automate a percentage of every paycheck into a separate savings or investment account before lifestyle inflation can consume it. Rule 5 is the liquid capital comparison test. Never evaluate purchasing power using salary or credit limits. Evaluate it using liquid reserves. Identity purchases should represent only a small fraction of available savings. Open your accounts, calculate actual cash reserves, and establish a strict personal spending ceiling. Wealth is determined by assets you control, not debt you qualify for. Here is the paradox. The more desperately people use money to signal status, the less financial control they actually possess. Many believe they have an income problem when they really have an identity cost problem. Additional raises cannot solve a system that automatically expands spending to absorb every increase. Financial freedom comes from maximizing options, not maximizing visibility. Quiet flexibility creates more power than public displays of success ever will. This week, identify every status-driven transaction from the last month, cancel unnecessary subscriptions, and remove saved payment methods. This month, automate savings and build a permanent financial firewall. This year, maintain a zero-growth spending baseline and direct all additional income toward emergency reserves and investments. Most people think freedom comes from earning more. In reality, freedom comes from needing less validation. The goal is not to impress people. The goal is to own your future.